Hey everybody, it's Cindy. Welcome to my next episode of I've Got a Story. And I don't know how long this story is going to take because it's been a while since I've shared it. But before we get started, I just want to tell all those of you who've been following and commenting. I appreciate it, and liking the videos. I do appreciate that. It kind of tells me that I'm going in the right direction. I'm not quite where I need to be yet in sharing my stories, but at least I know it's something that some people find, interesting or appreciate, or hopefully being blessed by it. So, with school starting, I was kind of reminiscing about when I was teaching, and at the beginning of the school year, teachers get together and prepare for the school year. And me and my fellow teachers were the principal, and we're kind of talking about, the students that are going to be coming. And, there's always those students who have some issues with authority. And the principal was commenting on, some of them had some brushes with the law. And then she made a comment that we, as Christians, as teachers in a Christian school, we've never dealt with a brush with the law. And of course, I'm sitting there going, and just kind of do my eyes up, the little innocent look. And of course, everybody looks at me and they're like, oh, no. What? No, we don't want to know. And they basically like, we don't want to hear about it. And I'm like, well, it's not like I went to prison. I just had my rights read to me. I wasn't handcuffed or anything like that. It's just my rights were read to me. And curiosity overtook them, and they're like, okay, well, we've got to know. So this is kind of a long story. It goes back to when my firstborn, who's 30-something, 32 now, I don't even know, when my oldest was born. Well, before he was born, someone had gifted me the What to Expect When You Are Expecting book. Sort of like a little manual that goes from month to month. Most of you have probably seen it. Month to month, kind of telling you what to expect during that particular semester of pregnancy. And towards the end, there is a chapter that talks about helping your pets prepare for a newborn child, because some people have issues with some jealousy between the pet and being jealous of the newborn baby. So it makes a suggestion to the new mom that first, when the baby's born, you wrap them up in their receiving blanket, and then the next day you have the spouse take home the receiving blanket and put it in the bed with the dog, and that way the dog is getting used to the new scent. So we did that. Another thing that I suggested was, when you come home, have the spouse bring the baby, or somebody bring the baby in, have them carry it, and then when you first, as a new mom, you come home, pay special attention to the pet. Try to get as much into the routine that they've had before the baby was born. So I wanted to kind of follow that, and then it said, try to take the pet on walks as much as you can endure, and just get back to normal activity. Well, we lived on a military base, and on the military base, if you're not familiar, if you live on the military base, there's special rules about cleanliness and having regard for your neighbors, especially when it comes to pets. And just like it is if you go to the park and all, you always make sure you clean up after your dog, which I usually did. But on this particular occasion, Danny had gone back to work, and I wanted to take the dog for a walk, and plus I was wanting to get some, for me to get some exercise. I just had a 10-pound baby. We're 9 pounds, 10 ounces. So I was wanting to get back into, being physically able to, get to back my routine. So I figured take the dog for a walk, and we didn't have a stroller yet. I hadn't decided what kind of stroller I wanted, and so I was carrying the baby. So me and the dog and Colby are walking around the block, and this was on the military base. So we walk around the block. We're almost home. We're at the neighbor's yard. My dog decides he's going to go into the neighbor's yard, and he does. He tries to take care of business, but I'm pulling on him and carrying my 9-pound, probably 10 pounds by this time, trying to pull the dog away from the yard, and with Colby in my arm, I'm pulling him, and I get him into our yard. And these are all duplexes that we lived in. So this was the neighbor's duplex. So I pull on him, and I get him into my yard, and then voila, he takes care of business. So I got them in, put Colby down for his nap, and one of the things I learned as a new mom is you make sure you rest when your baby's resting, because right at this moment he was like up every 3 hours, and he was hungry. He was a big kid, so he was eating a lot of all the formula. So me and the dog, we're laying down, and Colby's in his crib, and I hear a knock on the door. So me and the dog go to the front door, open the door, and there is the military police at the door. And they ask politely, can we come in? We need to talk to you. I'm like, okay. And they come in, and I sit on the couch because, I'm still kind of tired. And so I sit down, and they say, were you walking your dog today? And I'm like, well, yeah. Are you aware that your dog relieved himself in the neighbor's yard? I says, well, I knew he tried, but I pulled him into my yard, and as far as I know, he didn't. And they says, well, your neighbors has called in a complaint that your dog has relieved himself in his yard. And I'm like, well, if he says I did, he did. I guess he did, but I didn't think so. And so they said, well, because of this, we have to read you your rights. So I'm just sitting on the couch, and I'm going, okay. So they read me my rights, and do you understand your rights? And I'm like, yes, okay. And I didn't know what to expect. I was just kind of like, but being a military, growing up military, I knew you respect authority, and you don't interrupt them, you let them do their thing, and then when they ask you questions, then you answer the questions to the best of your ability. So I sat there and I listened, and they read me my rights, and said, okay, this is what the procedure is. Well, right then, Colby starts crying. And I'm like, hey, can you hang on a second? And they look very confused. And they're like, okay. So I go get Colby, and I'm holding Colby. And they were like, is there anybody else in the house? I was like, no, my husband's at work. So you were walking the dog with the baby. And they're looking around, and they kind of realize I don't have a stroller, because most people leave their strollers at the front door for convenience. And I said, no, I don't have a stroller yet. And they said, well, you had your baby with you. I said, yeah, I was carrying him and walking the dog. I'm trying to get into a routine again with the dog. And they said, wait a minute. You were carrying your child. How old is that baby? I said, 3 days. And then you could see the steam coming out of their ears. You were walking your dog, carrying your brand new baby, and your dog relieved in the neighbor's yard. I'm like, if he says I did, I guess if the neighbor says he did, but I didn't see it. I said, I thought I kept him from doing it because I pulled him to my yard. So they got really upset. And one of them goes, I'm going to go look for evidence So she said, where would it have been? I said, well, in the corner, blah, blah, blah. And I kind of explained, where Bobo had been. So she goes out to the neighbor's yard, and she's looking for evidence. And we all have to keep our yards, really trim and all that stuff, though. So it wasn't like the grass was really tall or anything like that. So she goes out there and she's looking for evidence. And she spent a little time out there and came in and said, I don't see any evidence. I don't see anything. There's nothing out there. She says, I can't believe that somebody would call in a complaint on a brand new mom carrying her baby. And I said, well, this neighbor has complained about me before, because he always complained about the dog barking. He worked night shift and he didn't like the dog barking during the day. And I always kept my dog inside, except when I took him out for his walk or to take care of business. I didn't just leave my dog outside. And I still don't. But he still complained about the 5 minutes that I would let the dog go outside. He would bark because somebody would walk down the street and I would bring him in. But he still complained about that. But again, so this one complains about my dog relieving in his yard, but there was no evidence. So the military police were very upset by it, and they were apologizing. And I was like, well, you're all just doing your job. So, it's just my neighbor being ornery, that's all. And so they said, well, we have to call, your husband's superior and let him know what happened. And I'm like, okay. So Danny gets home from work that day and it's like, okay, what happened? And I explained to him everything. And he goes, oh, okay. So when he goes back to work the next day, the first sergeant calls him in, and the first sergeant says, your wife got arrested yesterday? And Danny explained, well, I had my rights read to me. And something about your dog? He says, well, she was walking the dog, and the neighbor said that he relieved himself in his yard, but apparently there was no evidence. And so the first sergeant tells Danny, he says, well, you need to let your wife know to not let your dog relieve himself in the neighbor's yard again. And even though there was no evidence, he still had to be reprimanded. So the first sergeant was like, okay, so I did what I was supposed to do. And Danny's like, okay. And then he makes a comment. He goes, well, that was a beep arrest. And on the fact that it was about relieving himself in the neighbor's yard. So it ended up being a joke, but of course, when I was sharing that story with my principal and the other teachers, they were just kind of like, only Cindy would be the one, out of 20 teachers, I'm the only one who's ever been close to being arrested. Like I said, I didn't make it to prison or anything like that, but I have had my rights read to me before. So that was just one of those funny little stories that I like to share with people because, you never know what somebody's background is. You never know what their story might be. I mean, I've got a few. I've had a close call with police officers before, and I'll share that other story on another time. But with school starting and everybody going back to school, I was just remembering, when we were going through the training, and just knowing that we need to be kind of attentive to the situation with our students and when they get in trouble and kind of knowing that they're kind of dealing with circumstances with each other and getting into fights and stuff happening after school and things like that. So we have to kind of be aware of what their lifestyle is. And apparently I was closer to understanding than any of the other teachers. So anyway, but I guess the moral of the story is don't judge a book by the cover, because I don't think anybody would look at me and think, oh yeah, she's been, dealt with the law before. But anyway, but I lived to tell about it. Another curious situation that I was involved in, and that dog uh, survived, 16 years with us. Uh, he actually was 17 when he passed, and he turned 17, and Colby turned 16. So he had a good life with us, and I did everything I could to spoil. I always try to spoil my dogs. I figured God, gives them to us, and we should take care of them. And I try my best to do that. So anyway, I just wanted to share that story today. I just thought it was a cute little, especially since my last episode was a little bit serious. I just wanted to kind of share something fun and something maybe somebody will laugh about it and just appreciate it a little bit. But take good care of yourselves. Don't get yourselves in trouble with the popo. And if you got little fur babies, take care of them because they're precious. They're God's gifts to us, just like our children are. And be a blessing and be blessed. And I will talk to you all in a few days. Love you guys. Take care.